directed by Hess, the guy who did Napoleon Dynamite and Nacho Libre. Masterminds is a comedy featuring Zach Galifianakis based on the true story of the second biggest cash robbery of all time. Zach Galifianakis plays David Gant, the real guy who stole $17 million from the Lucas Fargo Bank back in 1997. And the movie follows his adventures of that heist along with a few fellow criminals. Now when I say the movie is based on a true story, I mean like loosely based. Basically, the characters all have the same names of the same people, and the details of the robbery are fairly accurate, but everything else is totally made up. I mean, you could say Ice Age is based on a true story, because you know, we had an Ice Age, and that's about it. You don't know what really happened. You weren't there. However, that doesn't really mean the film sucks, because it was actually pretty funny. There are some solid jokes in here that really made me laugh my ass off, and the plot itself is pretty entertaining. Zach Galifianakis was also surprisingly great in this movie. His character is so lovable and innocent, and you just can't help but root for him. And he's also absolutely hilarious. I think this is probably Zach Galifianakis' best performance since The Hangover, though it definitely still doesn't even come close to The Hangover. Because while his performance in this movie is really great and the comedy of this movie is fantastic, the rest of it kind of falls flat. The rest of the movie is pretty average. Now while the film is directed by the same guy who did Napoleon Dynamite and Nacho Libre, which are two strange yet fairly loved movies that have created sort of a weird cult following, this movie feels a lot more big budget and commercial than those other ones. In other words, while Nacho Libre and Napoleon Dynamite have a certain charm and they seem to have been made with a passion for filmmaking, Masterminds seems more like a movie that was made with a passion for making money. I mean, the movie poster says it all. A top-billed cast of successful and famously funny, mostly Saturday Night Live actors, and what appears to be a casting choice based on the hypothesis that Ghostbusters was going to be a huge hit. Seriously? 3 out of the 4 Ghostbusters? Why? Oh, that's right, because you're gluttonous, money-wanting hogs. We've got Leslie Jones, who is really only good at screaming and shouting sort of funny lines because apparently screaming lines at the top of your lungs makes them funnier. Then we've got Kristen Wiig, whose performance was pretty average at best. And last, we have Kate McKinnon, who was honestly probably my favorite part of this movie and also happened to be the only part of Ghostbusters that I even liked a little bit. But honestly, my favorite scenes in this movie, all of them have Kate McKinnon in them. She steals the show. And she's not even a main character, she's just a really hilarious secondary character, and I love her. And I think this movie also showed the variety of her range as an actress. I think she can do a lot of really weird and different characters. In both this movie and Ghostbusters, she plays a kind of crazy character, but they're both like totally different ends of the crazy spectrum, and this one was just absolutely hilarious. She just has this terrifying, apathetic half smile on her face all the time. She just looks like she was gonna turn around and snap and kill somebody at any second. She pretty much just like embodies that internally screaming meme. Jason Sudeikis was probably my second favorite part of this movie. His character was so funny. I loved it. He plays a hitman who is sent to find and kill Zach Galifianakis. However, when they meet, there is a strange turn of events that causes him to decide not to kill him, and instead they become best friends. And I'm not gonna spoil it, but it's pretty similar to the same reason that Batman decides not to kill Superman in Batman vs Superman. In other words, it's super dumb, but it's also kind of hilarious. And that's what a lot of this movie is. It's just really dumb, stupid humor with a few funny, witty, clever jokes thrown in there. And unfortunately, a lot of the humor is very stupid and slapstick and like shock value humor. I probably laughed at about 60% of the jokes in this movie, which isn't terrible because I did laugh a lot, but some of the jokes just didn't really land with me because, like I said, this movie is pretty average. The soundtrack is average, the shooting style is pretty standard, nothing really sticks out, the acting is pretty average, the humor is average, everything is average. So I'm gonna give this movie a very, very average rating of 2.5 out of 5. And yes, this is a new rating system. One of these days I will find one that sticks. Just deal with it. This one feels right. Anyways, Masterminds, did you see it? Did you like it? Let me know in the comments below. Personally, I would take Napoleon Dynamite or Nacho Libre over this movie any day. But I did still have a good time. I thought it was pretty funny. I chuckled here and there and it was a good ride. Anyways, until next time, I'm Steph, and this is Rated N.